What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring all of us to do better, be better, live better, make better decisions about quarterbacks and hot takes and everything better every damn day of our lives. And our Sunday night show, brought to you by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Spring is the new flannel season. It's really the flannel season. And, well, actually, winter's a great flannel season too, but there are a couple really good options. The 3 Seasons flannel, lighter weight, classic fit, is here for you this spring. They also have the Grand flannel, which I love, the heavier weight classic fit. But if you're looking for something you can chill around the campfire, be out in the backyard with, the 3 Seasons flannel available. Go to gomuskox.com and check out the flannel selections. Also, their spring selection, gomuskox.com/spring, and check out their latest feel good, look good. Muskox makes even the Rube and I look like decent-looking human beings. Jason, how you doing, brother? Caw, caw, instead of boo, boo, caw. No?
What's up, buddy? You didn't get a tan at the spring game? Did you stay up in that air conditioning the whole time?
I did. It was way too hot for me. Way too hot. I was walking from my car, and it was like, this is ridiculous. No,
it's bad. It's tough weather out there.
I would recruit. I'm telling you, I would recruit against the SEC on days like that. Like, you think this is good? Maybe a little warm.
What do you mean? It was beautiful out.
I know. Well, you
golfed 18 holes. I mean, yeah, it was a little warm, but that's the way you want it with all this cold. I mean, look at it now. It's like 12 degrees.
But what was it in Louisiana or Mississippi? Like 94?
Yeah, but you got to deal with other stuff when you're living down there, though.
You got the
tornadoes, floods, all that shit.
Back sweat, body odor, lots of shit. Nobody wants to be there.
There's nothing worse than back sweat, and you just get that one little that just trickles down your back. You know it's hot. That's happening.
I don't understand the appeal, and never will. So happy birthday, by the way, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It was an awesome, awesome weekend. Yeah, my takes are going to be, I think they're worse than Carmen Electra's hot because it's been a trying week with the in-laws. We're in town this weekend. Friday night, we had some the fights at Motor City Casino, night of knockouts. Teresa's son was victorious. We were like next to the ring. It was unbelievable. But when you do stuff like that, it's like I'm just out of the sports world, and especially with no football going on or college hoops or anything. I'm just like, I got nothing. I was like, what time you want to go, Graham? I got nothing. I got 0 takes tonight.
I got some takes, and our listeners have some takes, so we'll lift you up.
So I apologize.
We will lift you up with.
And then Saturday with the father-in-law out golfing, trying not to say anything stupid. So it's been a trying.
And you've
getting
had
the house fixed up.
You've had some moments with him before, so this is a challenge for you, right?
All good moments. No.
Wasn't there
just a father-in-law back and forth?
Wasn't there a prank that was played not long ago that didn't go well?
No, it did. It went really well. It was I had a fake parking ticket, and we were at his place in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and I figured I wanted to just, prank him, but I didn't know how it would go. And I asked Treese, and she was like, yeah, he'll love it. But there was an element there was just not a disturbance. I don't know how to put it. There was a little argument with the father-in-law and the wife. So I was like, oh shit, should I go run and grab the ticket? That was the only thing. He's a really good guy, and he just likes to bust balls. He's got the dad humor thing going.
But you were nervous about whether he would find it funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were already married, I think, so
okay.
I was okay with it. But yeah, no, he takes jokes well.
Okay. All right.
He's never talked about it ever again, though. He took it well at the time.
And you've never tried anything else or tried to drop a line that was funny.
I mean, he did try to hook up Treese with another guy in front of me. So, I mean,
after that?
No. This was the first meeting of her father.
Whoa.
And
okay.
stepmother.
What's that story?
I've told that story before.
I don't think so. Nope.
No, he rents a boat in Lake Geneva. And it was our first meeting, and I was kind of nervous. And this is back in Drinking Rube. So, of course, we show up with a cooler of Jaeger and keystone, like, 'cause, you know, you got to make a good first impression. And, you know, there was another couple on there with us, or I think there was a two dudes and a woman. And I thought they were friends of T's dad. And then, like, we go to dinner afterwards, and he goes, you know, Eric's single. And she's like, Dad, like, Jason, I'm dating Jason, you know. So, but, you know, rightfully so, after the drinking that I put on, the exhibition on the boat, I can't say that I blame him, but thankfully he didn't really pursue it further, or neither did she.
That is a
seriously,
story.
I was better looking than this guy, though.
Well, that's so, yeah.
Well, you know, and I had better personality.
Naturally. I mean, what are the odds?
No, you know us. Like, I'm self-deprecating. Believe me, if I would have lost that battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You must have had a muskox flannel
Jason was here, and that would be the end of it.
Well, that is a story worth telling, presented by our friends, by the way, at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. If you are looking for a place for a great date night, a place with great character and a great menu, a good drink selection, a place that is one of my favorites to just park with a buddy after work and have a beer, Midtown Brewing Company. Go to midtownbrewing.net to check out their full drink selection and menu. I'm telling you, you will impress any date there, even if you're like the Rube and your future father-in-law wants to replace you that quickly.
Don't blame him.
All right, let's dig into these hot takes. Do you want to go first?
Yes, and this is, you know, when you have zero hot takes, and this morning you're going, you know, let me read about the spring game. Maybe I can glean something off of these. Graham, you didn't have 3 hot takes. I was a little disappointed by that, but here's what I read from your column. I didn't really watch any highlights. I don't know if there was any video to be seen or if it was worthwhile, but from the reading what the fans' response a little bit, is this quarterback situation a little closer than expected? And I know, because I ask this all the time, and I know Mel Tucker will never answer it, if Peyton Thorne wins the position, how long of a leash is that? And is Noah Kim that close? Because I don't know anything about Noah Kim except for what we talk about on here, and I hear from fans that love Noah Kim. But is it closer? And if Peyton Thorne comes out with a slow start, what happens?
I think it's very different than last year. Because last year, as beat up as Peyton Thorne was, he wanted to play, and they still thought he was the best option. And that may have been not only because they thought he was the best quarterback, but he was best to handle everything that was going on around. Like when you're missing receivers and tight ends and your offensive line isn't playing that well, they may have thought Noah Kim wasn't ready to handle all that. And they would have lost his confidence and things would have spiraled. Like they still, I think what happened last year, and Peyton Thorne brought this up a little bit, and we prodded him for it because, frankly, he's healthy now and he should be able to talk about injuries from last season. And I don't think it helped that they kept all this this long. Like, I understand not bringing up details of injuries during the season. You don't want opponents to know, hey, I've got this thing on my knee that is killing me, because they're going to go after your knee. But
terrible sportsmanship.
At Penn State, when after the season, in the post-game press conference, you can bring it up.
Yeah.
And maybe even your coaches bring it up. Or soon after, like, you know, he's really been playing through this. I remember covering, you know, by the way, I covered Western Michigan, lived in Kalamazoo.
You don't say.
Yeah, what do you know? And the quarterback in, like, the 2008 season, Tim Hiller, had torn his ACL and played with a torn ACL for the final, like, 3 games and the bowl game. And not everybody even in the program knew it. His teammates, only a few of his teammates knew it. Only some of the coaches, the athletic trainers, obviously, and doctors knew it. He played through it. He wanted to play through it. And after they got shelled in a bowl game, they told us. Now, I felt like shit as a beat writer for not knowing that. You're watching a guy struggle but quickly it explained a lot. And so if Peyton Thorne was really beat up, that would have helped if they'd said that.
But aren't a lot
earlier.
of guys beat up, though? I understand that excuse. But if you're not going to, it's going to lead to speculation if you don't talk about it, even after the season, like you just said. Like, can we just talk about it? Like,
well, and if the same thing were to happen this year, I think they'd go to Noah Kim. He looks much more ready.
Okay.
I think if he struggles for any reason, be it injury, be it he just struggles, be it that his ceiling isn't much higher than we've seen, and they need his ceiling to be higher. All right, well, that'll lead me into my first hot take. Because I wrote a column about how the spring game was the best thing that might have happened to MSU in the quarterback situation in April, right? And that's sort of a little misleading because what would have been the absolute best thing is if they had one guy who was just out of this world. That would be the best thing. So what I said was sort of a lie in that sense. That was just wrong. The best thing is you've got a guy you've got the Kenneth Walker of quarterbacks who shows up and you're like, that's the guy. Short of that, though, I think given what their reality is, what was on display and how it was displayed was helpful because a few things happened. One, Noah Kim, who was the sort of middle child, the off the radar, the forgotten one, as Ebling called him at one point, is very much on the radar now. And the guy who was the sort of boy wonder that was, I think, a lot of fans hoped for, and a certain segment of the fans on social media were really pushing. It's obvious he's not quite as ready yet. And it's obvious for two reasons. One, he didn't play that well. I mean, he's got a good arm. I mean, you can see that. But he also didn't get as many opportunities. And the coaches are very aware of what they're putting on display for people, those things. And then when Mel Tucker was asked about the quarterbacks, he said it was very indicative of what we've seen all spring. That was a line that was purposeful by him, I believe. Like he is trying to say this wasn't just one day. Because there was for example, Andrew Maxwell, years ago, we were told all spring that he was having a better spring than Connor Cook. And then the spring game did not show that. Now, part of that was because in the spring draft they used to do where players selected their teammates, Andrew Maxwell selected his friends at receiver instead of the best receivers, and Connor Cook had the better receivers and the better team. But I think that was intentional by Mel Tucker to say this is what you saw is sort of what is. Doesn't mean it won't change. The thing about Katin Houser is that a young quarterback with a high ceiling can rapidly change and develop probably faster than somebody who's been around the program like a Peyton Thorne. I mean, Katin Houser between now and mid-August could take a lot of steps. Could live in the playbook, could live in his understanding of the offense, could get more comfortable, could really start to show out and make them have something else to think about. He's not necessarily done, but right now, as it stands in April, this is a two-man job. I think there's no question about that. And there's good news in this sense. There's a chance that Peyton Thorne was greatly hampered last year. And for all that people give Kenneth Walker credit for Peyton Thorne's helping Michigan State to an 11-2 season 2 years ago, and I think Kenneth Walker deserves a lot of that credit. I don't think Peyton Thorne would have done that on his own.
90% of it, yeah.
There's a lot of, but I think there is also a chance that what happened last year had a lot to do with what was going around Thorne as much as it did him. It had a lot to do with a guy who was clearly beat up, injured. He said he didn't, couldn't rotate the way he didn't have the mobility he usually does. And then you're talking about losing Jaden Reed for a good chunk of time. It was Keon Coleman wasn't even practicing late in the year. He was so beat up. Malik Carr was hurt and mistimed and didn't have the year he wanted to have. The offensive line was, there was a lot of things. And he was the guy among their quarterbacks who was ready and capable to deal with all the shit. But what happens with that is you don't have a great year. That said, there are also a lot of times, and I'm with people that there were decisions he made that you go, that other guy looked open, or that guy was underthrown. So it's not all that. It'll be in plain sight this year if he wins the job, whether he's a much better quarterback than we saw last year and whether he can lead Michigan State places. And if he can't, Noah Kim looks ready.
But should we be talking about the offensive line? Because without that or any semblance of a decent offensive line, you could have Tom Brady back there and it doesn't matter, right?
Sure, but those things are so hard to measure in spring games.
And it's boring.
Yeah. And I've told Joe Rexrode this, I've told Chris Solari this. They sit there in the in the games and they're trying to write down all the offensive linemen who are coming in and out for their notes and all that. And one of them will yell at me, wait, who just came out for who? I'm like, I don't know. One fat guy replaced another fat guy, and nobody wants to read about any of it. That's not entirely true.
Although
But-
you should want to, though, if you're
yes,
a fan.
I know
to
you
be
should.
honest,
You should.
but-
I'm just saying, as the columnist, I have like one offensive line column in me a year. It's like I'm gonna, I'm not that interested. I understand its importance. It's like the NFL draft. Every time your team takes an offensive lineman, you know it's important. You know it may have been the right move, but it's not as fun as when it's Jameson Williams. You know what I mean? Like it's not like the receiver.
Become a Lions fan and then know that you have to build from
Yes.
the inside out. And it's not sexy or fun, but yeah, you have to do it to win football games. But
So the reason this is good, though, for Katon Hauser, if he's not ready for the hype, it's best to tamp down the hype now. It's
I
best.
say fire it up.
It's best for it to be let him grow into the quarterback he's going to become. Whether he's ever Michigan State's quarterback, I don't know. There have been a lot of these guys throughout time. Damian Terry, Maxwell was the guy who was at Messiah DeWeaver. And I'm not saying Katon Hauser doesn't have a higher ceiling than those guys. I'm just saying that let him. I think what happened now allows him to keep developing and grow a little bit in the background, which is probably good if he's not ready for it. And so that's.
But are we skipping over the obvious? Is this good for Peyton Thorne to have a competition? Like, it's not just solely his job. There's a redshirt freshman and someone that is not going to has a possibility to start this year. Where Thorne's like, I'm healthy, I'm ready to go. I want to prove, middle finger to people.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably good because I think there's a little bit. You can tell he bristles a little bit at the company. Like he wants this. He wants to prove
good,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's also good for the program that you have another guy who's probably ready to take this job, and that puts pressure on Thorne to perform week in and week out. Or frankly, Noah Kim could still beat him out. To stay on this a little bit though, well, there are a couple things here based on the points that people have brought up to me in the last day or so about I think there's a little bit of concern like Katon Hauser might leave the program or something like now. Like, and if Katon Hauser is going to leave the program, where's he going to go? Like, and I guess there'll be other places that would take him, but if he can't beat out Noah Kim and Peyton Thorne, he's going to have a short career as a quarterback. Like, if that's the competition that scares him, I don't think it is.
I don't think so. It would have to be non-football related or something.
But in some ways, people want Noah Kim over Peyton Thorne. I'll say this: if Noah Kim wins the job, that's not as good for Katon Hauser, because if Noah Kim wins the job and has a good year and becomes the starter, now it's good for Michigan State football in a lot of ways. But that's a guy with more time left than Peyton Thorne.
And he's an unknown. I mean, we've seen what Peyton Thorne can do, and with an unknown, you never know what can happen. You get off to a hot start.
If you're a Michigan State fan, you should want to have a quarterback. It shouldn't matter who it is. You should want somebody to
I like
be
the
the guy.
competition, though.
I know, but what I mean is whoever emerges it should be like, that's great. Doesn't matter what
That's impossible.
I know, but like
That's great.
And
I would love to do that.
there are people that I've heard say that they want a quarterback who elevates their team. And
well, yeah.
But that's, and they don't feel Peyton Thorne does that. And I don't know if Peyton Thorne can do that yet. But I'll also say this, like, other than Bryce Young, none of the guys about to be drafted in the first round this year elevated their team last year. C.J. Stroud did it in the last game. He was good throughout the year, but he had an amazing cast around him. We don't really know if he can do that. Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, they were average to below average quarterbacks most of last year. They're going in the first round. Michigan didn't have a quarterback who elevated the guys around him. Penn State didn't. Wisconsin certainly didn't. USC did. There were a few, but they're hard to find. The goal is obviously to have one, but you also you need to have somebody who takes care of you as much as you have somebody who's dynamic. Because the real question with Kim, who had 3 or 4 of the best 5 or 6 throws of the day, but also had one that should have been picked off, a couple that were airmailed. Like, is he also ready to take care of you? Because if he has 7 or 8 throws a game where you go, wow, what a play, and it leads to a touchdown, but he throws 3 picks every day, that doesn't, so those are things we don't know, and he's going to have to prove it, and we just can't take that from an hour scrimmage in April, and that's fine. I'm just saying we won't know everything. What we know right now is that I think it's safe to say that it's a 2-person battle as it stands. Doesn't mean that doesn't change over the summer.
And Thorne has the lead because of who he is.
I think Thorne is more likely to start the opener. Yeah. But I think that Washington game in week 3, you got to perform in that. And I think they're not going to lose games if they feel like quarterback play isn't at a certain standard while Noah Kim is on the sidelines. And maybe Katin Houser too, depending on where he gets himself to be. But I would guess I would be surprised if Katin Houser passes Noah Kim at this point for this particular season. What is your second hot take?
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
Listen, don't panic. I understand. The Tigers beat the Giants 2 straight. But the Guardians, they're great on the road. And they're going to hammer this pitching staff, right? This next 3-game set, then you have the Orioles to Orioles Brewers to round out April, and everybody's like, "Oh, I thought we were going to bet every game." You have to. I'm guaranteeing you're going to make money on this team. Do not panic because the San Francisco Giants are kind of ass.
I'm with you. This rolls right into my second take. This Tigers bet is going to be profitable. Mm-hmm. You have to be patient, and weekends like we just endured actually help. What they do is they correct the Vegas line, bring the juice down. They put some money on the other side, and over the 162 games, they hurt if you jump off it right now. If you go, I don't want to do it. If you start trying to pick and choose games a little too much, you can lose money. But if you just stay with it, the dog days of the summer are not going to benefit this team very well.
If you can't handle the swings, like I say, you may lose money, but you learn something walking away.
Well, that's not good either. We can't tell.
No, but we bet on the Tigers over the weekend. Of course, they lost they beat the Giants with I guess Miggy had a walk off, and I missed that. But this team still stinks on ice.
The bet is going to go well for us. Just stay with it,
yeah.
and don't overreact to one loss. Know what your payroll is, and keep betting the same unit over and over. Every once in a while, maybe you get an inkling and you throw a little more down if you like it, or if you really, sometimes we went through this a couple of years ago with one pitcher. I forget who it was. Was it Mize, or was somebody else who was pitching well? Screwball. Mm-hmm. Where it was like, you know what? On Screwball days, maybe we don't bet against the Tigers. And
they don't even have that really.
No. And if
the bullpen's worse.
If that were to happen, then we'd adjust. If there's like one starting pitcher, it's like every time that guy's out there, we'll figure that out.
You'll know when to bail too.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening.
No.
I know people were panicking because the Tigers won 3 straight, but
I don't really have a third take either. I want to get to these listener hot takes, but I will say this. Today, the rain out, that was like a 5-hour delay before they called it, and I understand the Giants aren't in town a lot, so it was something they wanted to get in and all that, but it drives me nuts, stadiums that were built in 2000 and after that don't have a retractable roof. Like, the technology was there, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, if and when we have kids, I won't push them to be baseball fans because I do not want the disappointed 8-year-old if we go to 2 games a year or whatever when the game's rained out and it's like, I just don't want that face. I don't want to deal with it. They had the opportunity to build a retractable roof like
even
every
in
stadium
the early
should have.
2000s though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know the technology was available, but how much more money? Obviously,
I don't know. Drives me
nuts.
For a
rain day, for rain out games. Honestly, it would help when the season starts because it's probably going to snow here, right? So
yeah, it would just make the experience in April better for people.
But any stadium built now has to have it, right?
Has to.
Where you just hit a button and it just goes back and forth. I mean, right?
You should not build a stadium in the north, especially now, or the south, frankly, where it's, back sweating BO and all that. I mean, yeah,
but 75 and sunny, you despise, so.
You wouldn't want me in charge of when the stadium was open. I'd be like, hey, guys,
it would
50.
Just be closed all the time.
No, I'd be like 50 degrees and cloudy, open air. Let's do this. That would be not ideal. But if you do get 50 degrees and cloudy, as we always say, a Muskox flannel. And if you buy a Muskox flannel, go to gomuskox.com, and you can also use the Couch and Rube promo code CAWCAW, CAWCAW15, CAWCAW15 for $15 off. And as I like to say also, by supporting our sponsors, you are supporting us. So if you're ever thinking about a flannel, gomuskox.com. All right, let's dig into these hot takes. You ready?
Yeah, man. Eric Schultz up first. Number one, last week, Graham said MSU fans would be 147% okay with finishing last in the Big Ten East in football and Michigan winning the football national title. if it meant MSU won the title in basketball. If you truly believe that, it means you can't actually think MSU is a football school. 2, last week, Graham said that MSU fans would be okay if Hoggard was struggling so much that by January he was benched for Jeremy Fears. Graham, I love you, but what are you talking about? The expectation is to contend for a natty. This isn't happening if senior A.J. Hoggard sucks, period. And 3, if Graham answers take 2 by mentioning when Trice got benched for Tum Tum, it's okay if we lose to Syracuse because we don't have cancer. Nairn, oh, sorry, that wasn't you. I'm going to lose it. That wasn't a natty contender. Trice didn't run the show like Hoggard. I know that's where you'd go with it. Bad comparison.
All right, so
it's so funny your takes, like they can answer it. Like if you answer this to 2, it's like those books you used to read in school where you could pick your own ending.
To the first part about Michigan State fans would happily take Michigan winning a football national title and Michigan State finishing last in the Big Ten East if MSU won the basketball title, and that means MSU isn't actually a football school. I still think what stirs the drink for people is football slightly, but is the most balanced school that exists. There's no question about it. And I do believe it has its moments where it swings, where right now the excitement is hoops. And so, you do that poll now, or is it a football or basketball school? People say basketball school because people are winning, they're excited about it, whatever. But the other thing is if you reverse that and you said if Michigan State could win only one national title in the next 10 years in football or basketball, which would you take? I believe more people would say football. And so I do believe it edges to be a football school. But what's more realistic now and what feels like it's on the precipice is basketball. And if the trade-off was last in the Big Ten East and Michigan winning a football national title, I believe MSU fans in a poll would take it overwhelmingly, as long as they didn't have to put their name behind it. Look, obviously A.J. Hoggard needs to play well. And I don't know if I framed it exactly like that, but I think that, and I don't remember my point. I never remember my point week to week, so I'll move on from that one. You are right that I won't compare Trice to being benched for Tum Tum to A.J. Hoggard. Hoggard is this is a different situation. Hoggard needs to be the dude he was in the second half against Kansas State 20 times next year. And if he's that guy, Michigan State has a real chance. And Jeremy Fears needs to be a guy who comes in, gives them a change of tempo, gives them another weapon. It just one more thing that overwhelms teams where it's like, God, you're bringing that guy off the bench? Shit. That's what you want Jeremy Fears to be this year.
Dominic next. Number 1, Graham. Victor Wembanyama is definitely worth the hype. You don't always have to be the contrarian. It's okay to agree with obviously justified hype. Mr. Chicago defender. What's next? Skip Bayless in the Rube? 2, golf analysts always say withdrawal or WD instead of withdrawal. Fucking why? It's literally more syllables to say WD, and you also come off like a pretentious micro penis, respectfully. 3, love you, Graham, and I appreciate the position you're in when it comes to local journalistic critiques. But literally every blue wall root you pull out of the ground, 2 more blue wall weeds sprout. It gets more embarrassing every week beyond that sketchy-ass headline.
Which was an Lansing State Journal headline, by the way. It was not with the one he's referring to.
Oh, all right. Everyone's favorite bonus. Couch, you ever give away my number 2 slot again, I'm going to take your ass out of the tennis court and beat you 6-0, 6-0, 6 love, in front of your wife. Number 2.
No.
The number 2 slot is mine. Contractually, it's Eric Schultz, of course, then me.
Appreciate you, Dominic. And noted.
Beat you in front of your wife, dude.
6-0, 6-0. Yeah, I would love to actually play tennis with Dominic. The idea that he thinks he might be able to do that means he plays well enough for us to enjoy playing together, and I would love to play. That I'll say that for sure. Yeah. Do golf analysts say WD instead of withdraw?
I have not heard that.
I didn't realize they did that. That's weird.
I need a name. Who did it?
Yeah. And
was it Tarico?
He says always say.
I can see Nance.
Yeah.
Nance would do that.
CW, crosswalk. Yeah.
DMB next. Number 1, tailgating and a real scrimmage equals 65,000 in the stands at Spartan Stadium yesterday. 2, the current quarterback battle will lead to an extra win or 2 this year.
You okay?
Yeah.
You alive?
I thought you were going to actually expound on Dominic's thing, and I tried eating something. Okay. Shit. Woo. Wrong pipe. 3, there was no benefit to playing an injured Thorne last year. And bonus, poor Matt Charbonneau dealing with the fringe MSU and Caton Hauser fanboys, beat writers on the front lines every day. I bet you poor bastards miss the days of print and no social media.
I do think the tailgating, a real scrimmage, I think an event that starts closer to the Izzo run would have been helpful. I think there's a long lag between that. So if somebody's just run 5K and they're just sitting in their own sweat in an 85-degree day, it's not as appealing to stay there. I think Michigan State's just decided it's just not that important to have a scrimmage, because you could do a scrimmage where it was just offense versus defense, and the whole thing was more football-likey than watching a practice. And
but didn't Tucker say that he would like people to show up? He would like to fill the stadium.
I think early on. Here. I think now it's like, we'll have something if people want to be there, they're there. Because what they're doing isn't something that encourages people to show up. I can't imagine you're going to get a ton of repeat business off of what people got to see. And it was a decent showing. It was 12, 15,000 maybe. That was my estimate. It wasn't a bad showing. It's just,
take 5,000.
I think if you had, you would get upwards at least 30,000 if you really were.
Like if tailgating were allowed or something?
Tailgating, and you had if you made it a party. You want to make things a party. Now, but again, you don't have to do that. If it's not that important.
But why not let people tailgate and see what happens?
Well, I mean,
really, are we going to worry? I understand that there's going to be a couple people that will, vomit at, after they get hammered or something, but are we going to let everyone ruin our good time?
Well, here would be the argument against if I'm a university. The tailgate, that costs money to police and do all that stuff and the staff and everything, and the spring game is free. So this isn't like a football game where all these people showing up to tailgate are then are paying a ton of money to go to the game then. And so I think that's.
But how much should you charge? I mean, I would pay if it were like an event. You could actually show up, tailgate, hang out with people, then walk in.
Like a $10 ticket. Yeah.
I'd pay $10.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop riffraff from getting in. I mean, a majority of it will. If you don't do it for free, I think people would choose. If you gave the option of it would free and we have no fun, or we have fun and it's $10.
And then we'll also get into the Matt Charbonneau dealing with fringe MSU and Caton Hauser fanboys. Well, okay. And we have some other hot takes that sort of
really was it a big deal?
Get into this. I didn't. So Matt had a tweet that basically said if you think that Caton Hauser had a better day than Noah Kim or Peyton Thorne.
Do you need some
you're
cough?
You're not a serious person, I think was what he said.
Ooh.
Taking off the
be better.
Taking off the line from Succession recently. Anyway, and there was one particular fan account that had basically said it was a great day for Caton Hauser. Like he was one of the guys who had a great day, which just wasn't true. I mean, it wasn't. And so Charbonneau I don't know. Anyway, I enjoyed the little give and take, and I'm sure there were some people with their feelings hurt a little bit. But look, Matt is a heart of gold, by the way, and I know a lot of
He's
people.
He's a good guy.
A great guy. And
not in like a Matt Shepard.
Is a good journalist, and he saw what he saw, and he tweeted about it. And so yeah.
Is it still up there?
Yeah.
I mean, was it that bad?
No, it wasn't.
Bizarre.
It wasn't that bad.
Okay. DeUper next. Number 1, Noah Kim looked good in the spring game, but consider that he is throwing against MSU's mangy-ass defensive scheme. 2, Caton Hauser is still very much in the mix for a week 1 start. That is, this is just a standard coach motivational stuff.
I don't think this is standard coach motivational stuff. I mean, it may be that they're trying to. Part of it is in the sense that they're, this is where you stand, and you're going to get these opportunities based on that. To your point, though, DeUper, if you were to be right on this, mid-spring practice when Jay Johnson spoke, he made it sound much more. I mean, we're just reading tea leaves, and this is why tea leaves can be wrong. If you left that press availability thinking that Katin Houser and Peyton Thorne was the competition and not Noah Kim, and Noah Kim is clearly a part of it. And so, maybe Houser will come on strong. The thing is, Houser's going to have to pass these guys. And I just find it very unlikely that the idea that Houser would be starting week
without
one.
games, right? It's got to be harder to pass guys.
And would pass both of those guys without,
what would he have to do, hypothetically?
He would have to show up in the fall and just be lights out and be like, this guy just does more, has more upside and can make more plays. And this is the guy that they think can take them places that the other two can't. And if he did that and he took care of the ball and didn't make, because one of the things that Mel Tucker will talk about is just how much turnovers kill you. You cannot, if you turn the ball over as a quarterback, you're not going to start for him. And so that's something I think also as a young quarterback you have to prove, and you first have to prove it in practice.
Mark next. Number 1, in all honesty, Twitter propaganda has gotten me to irrationally hate Katin Houser. So this is fine. 2, Graham saying, this looks pretty clear, unless it wasn't. Is this sort of analysis that gets me to be a loyal Couch in the Rube listener?
Appreciate you, Mark. Yeah, I mean, look, the Twitter propaganda, and that's an interesting term because the guy who's pushed Katin Houser as much as anybody's got propaganda in his Twitter handle. I don't think it helped Houser, and and I understand the backlash. You can sense it among certain people in my mentions. It's like, and nobody should have anything against Katin Houser, but this sort of irrational is a great word, just absolute love and pushing him is the next great thing. What it is it's annoying, and it has nothing to do with Katin Houser himself. And frankly, the people who are pushing him on Twitter are just fans who want the best. They're excited about the possibility for him. And sometimes people can be really annoying in their Twitter, handles and be absolutely lovely people in real life. And I don't know him personally, so and he's not alone. There are a lot of people pushing Katin Houser, and I think what happened yesterday was deflating to some people who were really hoping that he would be the guy.
Sunshine Spartan next. Number 1, don't be fooled by the Tigers. They will finish with the worst record in baseball. 2, does Muskox have tank tops for the summer? And 3, either Peyton or Noah will be in the portal by May 1st.
That's interesting. That's a hot take.
That is hot.
Yeah. I would be surprised if that happened, but if it happens, Sunshine Spartan, you will get credit for it. We'll
you
circle
would have got
back
a gift card if you would have used number 1 to kiss Graham's ass.
I agree with you on number 1 on the don't be fooled by the Tigers. They'll finish with the worst record in baseball. Yeah. Muskox tank tops for summer. They do not, but I will cut off the sleeves. If you want a summer Muskox tank top, and I know they don't actually have sleeveless flannels, but you go to gomuskox.com, order your flannel, send it to me. I will cut off the sleeves for you and get it back to you. And
are you going to sign? I don't understand what the listener
gets
out of that.
They don't really get
are you going to sign the shirt too, or the sleeve?
That would only bring down the value.
Matt Drolette next. Number 1, I feel like Jackson Kohler is getting left out of most of the big men discussion on the show. 2, lobbying for the hot take of the week is in itself totally weak. Graham is too smart to fall for that shit. Yeah, right. Not to mention one hell of a sports writer and one of Lansing's favorite sons. 3, where is the Firekeepers bet that Graham would never ace Andre Agassi?
These are the hot takes of the day, by the way, from Matt. The best damn beer bar, world-famous Cosmic Fries, mouth-watering, award-winning burgers, including the Peyton Thorne burger, who may again be the starting quarterback. If not, perhaps there will be a Noah Kim burger. 2 smash patties with American cheese, bacon, sunny-side egg, served with a pretzel bun with Cosmic Fries. And whether he's playing well or not, the burger is absolutely fantastic. Each location, carefully curated craft beers with local partners, so it feels like a local brew pub. Tons of TVs to watch a game. And great place to win Tigers bets. Like, you could have your meals constantly paid for all summer at Hopcat if you just bet against the Tigers. Go to hopcat.com to find the location nearest you. East Lansing, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Indianapolis, lots of places. To Matt's point, let's do the Jackson Kohler thing. because I do think he is getting left out of the discussion on the big man. And part of it is I think there is a sort of resignation that physically he doesn't have the tools to have a high ceiling in the Big Ten and at Michigan State. Would you agree with that? Like
yes.
when you, I think Kohler's future really is partly predicated on his ability to play alongside another big. And because I don't think defensively is a rim protector. Maybe he gets there as a rebounder if he just learns how to use his ass. But but he has a guy who is uniquely skilled for anybody else they have on the roster. You just see the footwork. I mean, there aren't a lot of big men who can do the stuff he does. And so if he can play alongside Carson Cooper, alongside Xavier Booker, somebody who can protect the rim and plays a 4, two biggest positionless basketball in certain ways, he might guard the 5 and one of them's guarding the 4. However it works out, I think the key for Jackson Kohler, and I think he does do things that make him intriguing. I mean, you might even be able to play through him in ways that you can't with big men because the way he can pass. We didn't see a lot of that this year. Certainly there are things he can do in the post to get you a bucket. There's lots of things that are intriguing about him. I just don't know that he can ever be the man in the middle without having another guy in there as a big regularly who defensively gives you more than he'll probably be able to give you.
Nick Stenholm next. Number 1, Twitter is ass because you can use fake accounts to incite violence and hate with impunity. Everyone should have to be verified and stand behind your words. 2, if you're a fan cheering for a player you've never seen play, to start simply because of their recruiting ranking, you're the worst type of fan. And 3, Jason said the Tigers won't win 3 in a row all year. Not a hot take, just wanted to remind everyone of Jason's garbage take.
Appreciate you, Nick. They did win 3 in a row. I didn't, to be honest, there was a minute where I didn't know that could happen either, though.
I don't remember saying that, but sure. I mean, there's got to be, buckle up, there's more garbage takes coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're the worst type of fan, but I do, I think you're seeing the backlash now to the Caton Hauser stuff. Just pushing him. Caton is him. It is nauseating.
It's just people talking shit.
It is.
Why are we so
is.
bent about it? It's so weird.
And I think people are quickly, redirecting, and I think that